This is a wedding dinner party in Bihar, India, that descended into a fight between guests over shortage of an Indian dessert called rasgulla. And this clip is from a global investor summit in Bhopal, India, with investment commitment of $330 billion. One may dismiss them as isolated incidents, but they are not caused by isolated individuals. And even outside India, across the world, one uncomfortable pattern keeps showing up. A growing hostility toward Indian migrants, a frustration with Indian tourists, irrespective of what the country is, be it Australia, Canada, the US, the UK, or even Thailand. Scroll through any social media, and you'll see the same pattern: stereotypes, anger, open frustration. And strangely, half of India agrees with the criticism. India's GDP is soaring, but the biggest contributors to that growth, the engineers, doctors, and founders, they are quietly packing their bags, not for better salaries like 2 decades ago, but because they're tired of defending themselves and a country that refuses to change. This isn't just about a country losing its talent. This is the story of India, systematically driving away its own economic future, one frustrated passport at a time. To understand the socio-economic challenges India faces today, you have to examine 3 dimensions: the social issues, its root cause, and how its second-order effects impact Indian economy. So let's dive into the first one. To examine the first dimension, let's start with the one you have to be blind to miss: hygiene. Every Indian city struggles with cleanliness. Streets are routinely filled with garbage within hours of being cleaned. Rivers are often treated like sewage channels. Trains, stations, markets stay chronically dirty. The spitting issue is so pervasive that incidents have even been reported on the streets of London. But the shocking part is the reaction. Half the population insists nothing is wrong and resorts to whataboutism. But 10 years ago, many were still hopeful as, for the first time in history, a leader recognized this problem. Launched the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the Clean India mission. And the leader is someone who has held a 70% plus approval rating for over a decade. Was able to influence the masses on many fronts. But not this one. Billions were invested. Millions of toilets were built in villages and urban areas. Multimedia educational campaigns were run at massive scale. Yet the deep behavioral change never came. Because infrastructure can be built, culture has to be unlearned. While half the population is still thriving in bliss, the other half is losing hope. But hygiene is only a symptom of a larger issue: the absence of civic sense. If you want to understand India's biggest weakness, just step outside. No lanes, no queues, lack of patience, no concern for safety even for their own life. Tourist women coerced and harassed on public streets. Public spaces treated as private property. The reason isn't poverty. Many wealthy Indians also behave the same way. But the real problem begins when this behavior goes international. Clips go viral of Indians bathing in public waters with soap in Canada. Or unbelievably, a guy taking a bath on a bus, littering on beaches in Thailand. Or even worse, littering in flights, fighting, screaming at staff in flights. A tiny fraction does this. But in the age of TikTok, a tiny fraction is enough to destroy a reputation. And the people who pay the price are the globally aware, well-behaved Indians living abroad. Engineers, scientists, and researchers who now face suspicion because someone else acted foolishly. But then comes the next logical question: why wasn't this an issue a few decades back? Why is it kind of unique to India? And to answer these questions, we have to examine the second dimension, the root cause. To understand it, we have to look beyond individual behavior. Sociologists call it cultural lag. In 2000s, India went through a major economic boom. The economy urbanized faster than its social habits could adapt. In just 2 decades, hundreds of millions moved from villages to dense cities, and from scarcity to sudden wealth. Habits that worked in open, sparsely populated rural spaces now collide inside densely populated concrete cities. The economy has upgraded. The mindset hasn't. But cultural lag alone isn't the problem. At one point in time, every society faced it. most of them acknowledged and evolved. India, however, has stalled. This toxic combination of cultural lag and denial is the real problem. The belief that nothing needs to change. The reason behind the belief is that for decades, children were taught a comforting story. India was the richest civilization, the wisest and most advanced. The intent was excellent. This was meant to rebuild confidence after colonization. But slowly, the message mutated. From "we can become great again" to "we are already great." But this is just half the story, and there is something else that worsened this belief system in last 20 years. Before 2000s, upward mobility, although slow, for majority in India came from one thing: education, which led to jobs, and jobs led to affluence. Cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai and Bangalore emerged as hubs built by educated workers. They weren't perfect, but they were livable, because the rest of the population looked up to the educated class as role models, and tried to emulate the civic norms they had set. Come 2000s, with a decade of liberalization and globalization at play, India's businesses flourished and growth accelerated. Real estate boomed. Landowners became millionaires overnight. Money trickled down to millions of unorganized business owners who rose into the new middle class. Overnight, a huge population had money, mobility, and access, but no global awareness. And suddenly we started getting absurd news stories that might sound fake, but are very real. Meanwhile, the educated, the ones most capable of building India, feel more disconnected than ever. For the first time, for a majority of people leaving the country, the decision is no longer financial, it is overwhelmingly emotional. And this is where the economic story begins. The story of a new kind of brain drain. The old brain drain was simple. India was poor. The West paid more. The new brain drain is different. Indian economy is growing fast. But society is not evolving fast enough. And that's why most of the individuals who are leaving India today are actually rich. Ask any engineer the primary reason for leaving India. The answer isn't salary. It's quality of life. For context, a good entry-level software engineer in Bangalore earns around $40,000 a year. In cities like Berlin, London, Vancouver, or Sydney, the same engineer can earn $70,000 to $80,000 a year. That's only 2x the salary in Bangalore, and if you take purchasing power parity into account, which is around 3x, the engineer is technically taking a pay cut by moving abroad. Many rationalize this pay cut as a quality-of-life premium, the price they pay for functional amenities. But the buck doesn't stop here. What's even more painful for the country is this. Its most adored public figures are making the same choice. Take the example of Virat Kohli, one of the highest-paid athletes in the world, a national icon, a man who could live comfortably in any Indian city. Yet according to multiple reports and his own comments, he has chosen to base his family life in London, not because he hates India, but because London offers a quality of life that's fading away from India even for its super-rich. It offers an environment for their kids to walk safely, an environment that supports a calm life. And if Virat Kohli walks away from a nation that worships him, to raise his family in a cold and gloomy country, what do you think the top engineers and creators are thinking? They're thinking the same thing, they just don't appear in headlines. The people who can build India's future, fix its system, are the ones quietly escaping it. And the rate of escape, the rate of migration has been going up exponentially. The number of Indians who gave up their Indian citizenship has jumped by 50% in last 5 years. But now even the escape has become a challenge in itself. And it has its own economic consequences. Consequences that double the brain drain loss for India. Earlier, migrants were top students, experts, and hardworking professionals. They integrated smoothly into Western societies and built an amazing reputation. These earlier migrants earned well and remitted billions back to India, quietly strengthening the economy from abroad. But now, a new type of migrant is emerging. First-generation wealthy with money but without global awareness. They travel loudly, behave entitled, and trigger a backlash, giving rise to a hostile environment and impacting job prospects for well-behaved Indians trying to build a career abroad. So India loses on two economic fronts. The best talent leaves, hurting its future growth. But going forward, it may not earn and grow that well abroad, reducing remittances too. But this is not the end of the economic story. Here's the part most people miss. What economists would call a soft power paradox. Countries don't just earn money by selling goods and services. They earn by building trust. For instance, countries like Japan and South Korea built a global brand of precision and discipline. That reputation acts like a premium on everything they export. On the other hand, India is currently risking a chaos discount. If the global perception of brand India is disorder, shortcuts, and hygiene risks, then Indian businesses and exporters have to work twice as hard just to get a seat at the table. It's an invisible tax on every commercial interaction India has with the world. So here's the bottom line. Indian economy is rising, but socially it's stuck. And the educated, the people who could drive the next phase of India's growth, are quietly leaving. Not because of politics or for money, but because they're tired. Not so much of the issues as such, but tired of whataboutism and denial. So here we are. India wants to be a superpower, but refuses to evolve socially. And unless these uncomfortable truths are confronted, the dream of regaining its past glory might remain just that, a dream. In this video, we have only covered the most apparent objective issues. But there are many subtle subjective issues too that are harder to talk about. So let's talk. What do you think is holding India back socially? Do you believe India can rise without changing its social norms? And how do you feel about India's best talent leaving? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this video isn't about blame. It's about understanding the truth before the consequences become irreversible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.